Hello, everyone. You'll notice that I'm actually here by myself tonight. That's because we decided to do something a little bit different than what we usually do. And we pre-recorded our story with our guest a little earlier in the week. We had a little bit of twist. The dice gods kind of mixed things up on us just a little bit, and we weren't be able to do our story live last week. And we weren't probably going to be able to reschedule it. So we decided to do something a little sneaky and try to do a recording of our story. So the story does play out live. Everything that happens 100% happened between us live. It just happened a few days ago. So I'm here right now with all of you in the chat, but what you'll watch is a pre-recording of what happened Monday night between me and our most lovely guest from Wild Shape Society. And everything that we do, from crazy dice rolls to improvising together, is totally happening live. I don't edit anything, nothing changes. It's just us being silly and goofy together, but it isn't happening right now in this moment. So we get to see how that works out, and I'm hoping it'll work really well because I know there's some folks that unfortunately can't join us on Saturday nights, but it'd be really cool to be able to still tell stories with them and record sessions on days when they aren't available and share those stories with everybody. So with that, let's see if I can make this work tonight, and I hope you all will still enjoy our sort of live story that happened, just not right now in this moment. All right, welcome back, everyone, for another Tales of Adventure. This week, we are excited to welcome back a wonderful guest to our library here. Character that one I haven't gotten to encounter before, a whole new race for me. Welcome, and tell us a little bit about your character that you brought for us tonight.
So I'll be playing Criven, my D&D community namesake. What started out as a dragonborn fighter has developed over time into a kind of shape-shifting story where his soul has been taken and moved into another body. And as the audience can see here, we've got a Dohwar, which is a spelljammer race, which is what he's been merged into.
That is very cool. So I have to encounter Dohwar. Tell us a little about them.
Really ate ethically their own, and I believe the known for being very smart and rude. They are kind of really murderous. And the Spelljammer era, they are not the most social people at times. They actually can sometimes lack social skills. Um, and they when they pair with like another person, they like really heavily join together in emotion and stuff like that too. Other than that, that's kind of what I know.
Okay. Well, that is very cool. And I'm very excited for the story we're going to get to tell tonight because it delves a little bit into both backstory and the future for Cribben. So hopefully, he'll get to learn some really cool stuff about where he might be headed in the future. We'll see.
All right.
Yes. All right. So, legends speak of an arcane stronghold deep in the Dragonspire Mountains. It was built by the mages to honor the gods, and magic was infused into every element of this ancient stone fortress. Generations ago, a local prince was kidnapped and held ransom by a dark warlord who sought refuge at this mystical stronghold. The king paid the required ransom, but the young prince was not returned. a devout follower of Arthurier Thwin, the god of the wilds, the unknown, and luck, patron to travelers and adventurers alike, the King Father prayed for a way to locate his lost child. But the unknown god could provide only a way to visualize that which is lost. And when the king found the princeling, he had already perished, and only the dark warlord had remained. Furious, the king used the ancient magics of the mad mage Zangovar to call a curse down upon the dark warlord and any who still dwelled within the strongholds. Since that day, a dense marshland has surrounded the area, and spine-chilling wails have been heard in the mists. If the king or the god-forged artifact survived this curse, none can truly say. Yet, rumors persist, and adventurers still try to find the artifact. And it's that that's drawn Criven to the area today. Because if he can find an artifact that would tell him where something is lost can be found again, that might just lead him to those shards he's been looking for. Now, the Dragonspire Mountains are a rocky range along the western coast. Covered in dense forest, they are the perfect abode for all manner of dangerous ilk. Nonetheless, you do arrive at the ancient stronghold relatively unscathed. Muck and mire dampen the threshold of a once magnificent arch. Decorated with arcane symbols, it welcomes trespassers to the fortress dedicated to the gods. But now it is lost to vines, lichen, and a rather impressive puddle of swampy water. It's clear that this cursed place has long since been abandoned.
Mm, okay. I think he's going to be pretty keen on looking at that archway and giving it a good look. The arcane nature of the carvings are pretty interesting to him, though it seems that they've been a little lost to time.
Yes, they're quite worn down, but if he studies them, he should be able to sense a faint magical aura that still resides there.
Could I either make some sort of like, a check to try and look at them, or maybe even use prestidigitation to maybe clean up things a little bit to get a better view?
Absolutely. If Criven has prestidigitation, he can use that to clean up the mold and the lichen, which will give him a much better view, and that will help him if he decides to make an arcana check.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, he does. I guess I could have done a little. I wasn't quite prepared for the intro there. I guess I could have done a little better. That Criven is currently a sorcerer, artificer, fighter, multi-class, with 3 levels of sorcerer, 2 levels of artificer, and 2 levels of fighter, making a very strange hodgepodge character who can kind of do a lot of different things. Mirroring his current state of being a soul from a different story, a different land, being merged into this new body. And okay, I will go ahead and use my prestidigitation cantrip. That's a tongue twister as always. To clean up the mold and whatnot, and get a better look at what's going on with this archway.
Okay. And getting very up close and personal with those runes and inscriptions, you realize there is a sense of abjuration magics here about the archway. And you recall that this is the school of magic dedicated primarily to protection, self rebuffing, or counterspelling. These wizards or sorcerers would be studying on negating and denying any negative effects, Perhaps dark sorcerers would even be studying negating positive effects.
Okay. I also do have a climber's kit, so to like really get up there, I don't have, the ability to fly, of course. I'm just a wee little penguin-like person. So maybe toss up my grappling hook, get up there, start casting prestidigitation, taking a look, identifying all of that. That's definitely interesting to him to see that, this is maybe like a protective barrier of sort to keep evil out. Not something he's too worried about because he's not super into evil magic and stuff like that. Um, Give him a good look, and then uh, start continuing. I think,
Absolutely. Um, and taking a really good look at those spells, can I get an Arcana check?
of course, might even be interested in taking some charcoal and paper and taking some rubbings.
Absolutely. He's welcome to spend some time taking some rubbings of any of the runes that seem interesting to him.
So I have +4 to my Arcana. I rolled a 9. That's +4, so it came out to 23.
Nice. Okay. So, as he's taking a look at some of these runes, he's realizing that at some point these were meant to be glyphs of warding, but either over time or because of the curse that was once placed upon this area, they've been twisted into something different, something new that he hasn't seen or encountered before, and they're no longer behaving the way they once did. Now, it's possible they can still be dispelled exactly like a glyph of warding, but they don't necessarily behave the same way they did when they were first cast upon the stones.
Hmm. Okay. Interesting. He definitely like, identifies this and looks it all over and is like, hmm, don't like they used to. And takes some rubbings and then just throws a detect thoughts out there to see if there's anything in the current area that's like sending out thoughts or vibes if anyone's watching as he enters, because you said that there are people that keep there are adventurers and others that are interested in this area as well.
Okay. You get the faint whisper of something, but it's nothing that you can quite focus in on, almost as if it's too wispy or not tangible enough to really get a psychic grip on. Other than that, you can't be certain if there are any living creatures in the area.
Okay. All right. Well, he will consider all of that and head on further.
Okay. Passing through the archway, the glyph of warding doesn't seem to activate, and so a sense of security goes over you. Perhaps the glyph is no longer working, or it seems to accept you as a positive entity. And wandering the stone passages, a damp and chill starts to send shivers up your spine. The walls are quite damp here, and a mold and a rot is quite pervasive throughout this area. The occasional breeze sends the cold straight into your bones, and in fact, the damp is so pronounced that you fail to sense the prickling of hairs or feathers along the nape of your neck until the apparition is right before you. In a flash, this pale form of a finely dressed young girl screams out at you before turning and dashing away down the cobbled stone passage.
Yeah, he would definitely turn in shock and be like, "Oh!" and then, "Wait, no, don't go! I'm friendly."
At first, it seems like she's not responding to you, but if you choose to chase her, it may seem as if she's waiting for you around the next bend.
Hmm. I won't chase. I think I'll proceed cautiously with my walking stick, which serves as my arcane focus.
Okay. Further on, she is there down the hall, and occasionally you get the sense as if she's trying to lead you somewhere, but you don't hear anything. She isn't speaking to you. She's not choosing that method of communication.
Okay. I'll send my telepathy out into the world and see if they'll communicate with me that way. Otherwise, I'll just keep following.
This time, when you do so, those wispy, intangible thoughts are directly in front of you and seem to be coming from the young woman, but they're still very difficult to grasp. Not quite here. After all, she isn't really on the same physical plane as you are, and it's very challenging to understand what she's saying. But she does seem to want you to follow her, and it's almost as if she wants to show you something.
Proceed with caution.
She continues to lead you through various winding passageways, occasionally glancing over her shoulder to check that you're there. And every time she does so, you're struck by how finely dressed she is, given that she's in such an advanced play. You even occasionally catch the glimpse of a locket around her neck. It's difficult to tell given her pale, wispy form, but it seems finely wrought, made perhaps of some precious metal like gold or silver, and it contains some gemstone. Difficult to understand which one, given her pale form, but clearly valuable. And her clothes, though dirty, were once made of a fine material and embroidered.
Are we approaching areas where I wouldn't be able to see with my natural eye?
It is starting to get darker, but it's dim light.
Okay. Okay. The gemstone is interesting, but Criven is not here for monetary gain, but certainly takes note of the amulet and keeps it in mind, keeps it in his head as to, is this something that's important late for could this be important for later? Just taking a mental note of how it looks in the gemstone inside.
Absolutely. A while further, she seems to almost wisp away until she almost vanishes. And you wonder if you've arrived at your destination, realizing that you've reached far deep into the center of the fortress itself. And here, the mold and the rot grow very thick. Pools of swampy water are quite deep, and vines are growing larger and in thicker clusters. As you pause to consider all of these developments, a black griffin rears out of the murky dark ahead of you. Its talons lashing, it screeches a cry, then immediately moves to attack.
Okay. Call and be like, wait, beak on beak. No. Okay. Are we rolling initiative? Is that what's happening?
Unless you make a different choice.
Hmm. I guess if I have the moment to, I would see if it maybe speaks common via telepathy. I speak common, goblin, and telepathy with either of those two. Maybe make a ooh, not very good at animal handling, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Fighting a griffin alone doesn't sound like something that was on his to-do list today.
Yes, we can definitely do an animal handling, but griffins don't typically speak. You never know about this one, though.
That is true. Well, I have a 0 to animal handling, but I happened to roll exactly a 20.
Okay.
So that is a natural 20 right there.
Well, in a moment of hesitation, the griffin lowers its foretalons and it chooses not to immediately attack. However, it is still hostile to you and does not consider you an ally, but it is pausing and waiting to see if you will make the first move.
I will bow my head to it, a buckbeak moment, um, and uh, and greet it kindly and say, "Welcome to your home, I assume. I am not here to cause you any harm. May I pass?" Um, Even if it can't communicate back, his general inclination would be to communicate with it somehow.
The griffin cocks its head at you, and in a moment, it seems as if it's peering straight into your soul. You get the sense that it possesses some intelligence, perhaps not the intelligence of a greater beast, but certainly the wisdom far beyond that of a typical griffin. And then it slowly, cautiously walks towards you and then bows its own head until its forehead meets yours. And as it does so, you're able to peer into its own soul just as it peers into yours, checking to see if you are in fact pure of heart and of good intentions. So let's see what it sees. Let's roll for wisdom.
Just a wisdom check or save or
Straight wisdom.
straight wisdom. Okay. I tried to send the roll as a capture on the chat. I don't know if that worked or not, but I took a screenshot of that nat 20 for you.
Thank you.
Um,
I have not been checking, but thank you.
okay, so straight wisdom is going to be a 15.
Okay, excellent. And trusting that your intentions are pure, it slowly backs away and then cocks its head at you. Since you were able to look into its own soul as well, what did you see?
Ooh, man, uh, it's probably hungry, right?
Fair.
um, Hungry and maybe trepidatiously analyzing me as well, and I think I feel like it's some sort of protector of this area is what I would assume I would see. Um, you're sorry to clarify. You're asking what it saw in me or what I saw in it?
What you saw in the griffin.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so I think it's hungry, I think is what I see. Um, I don't think there's a lot of food down here. And Criven currently being a Dohwar who's taken quite the affinity towards fish and different things. Maybe has some dried fish to offer to it, some smoked salmon or something.
All right. Well, it will gladly accept any meat that you have to offer, especially now that it knows you have some good intentions at heart. But it's not quite so eager to stand inside. It seems to be guarding something very important to it, and it's going to want to know some more details before it lets you pass through this last archway.
Okay, so I'll start reaching out to it and motion towards the door with my feathered arms and like, what are you guarding here? I don't want to step on your toes.
It will lean down towards you, preferring to communicate in imagery over words or voices. And it seems to suggest you with the pictures that it's using that whatever's on the other side is not only of great power, but of great potential danger, depending on who finds it. It needs to know that whatever you're looking for is not going to be used to harm anyone.
Mm. I start using my, let's see here. I'd maybe like to start using my, what is it? This not disguise, alter self. Using my lunar sorcery abilities to cast alter self, I'll start communicating back kind of pictorially and show the griffin what I'm here for, what I seek and the reasons for it, and start showing a, you know, simplified version of what has happened to Criven and his life partner Callista, and show that he was not this in this Dohwar form originally, and that he's come crashing down to the surface, being merged into this body with a very unfortunate Dohwar from the Spelljammer cosmos. He's here to seek an item to help him locate, hopefully, if she's here, his lost partner, his lost love in life, and that he means no harm to anybody, and that he is only going to use what he's here for to further his investigation and hopefully be reunited.
Mhm. Understanding what you've communicated, the griffin bows its head once more. You notice a single tear falling down its eyes and past its cheek to land in the murky water. Then it folds its wings and lowers itself to settle down onto the stone floors. And you take this to mean that you are allowed to pass.
I will again bow my head, maybe like very slowly, just give it another forehead press, connect with it once more, and give it another moment of respect, and then reach out to it through pictorials again and show that at one point in previous adventures, Criven actually raised a griffin from egg to full form, leaving his adventure party for some time to uh, have another character come in and play for a while, and then reunited in times of need for that party, and then continue forward and just give it the utmost respect for being such a uh, dedicated guardian to this place.
And as you pass, you feel the gentlest brush of a wingtip, almost as if the griffin is wishing you well and saying thanks as you go. And beyond this guardian, you find a massive library filled with every arcane and mystical tome imaginable, more than you have ever seen before. And there, resting on a desk, sits a vellum map, blank, as if awaiting instructions. As you place your hand upon the page, an image flashes suddenly and briefly in your mind's eye. And this is the image that you see.
Okay, so I see like a book with some sort of like little amulet thing tied to the bottom and this structure behind. Is there something behind the page that I see, or is that just another image behind it?
In the background, there is that structure. You can call it a mansion or a large house of some kind, and possibly a tree or a forest, depending.
Does this circular thing tied to the book resemble the amulet that I saw on the lady?
It does not, no,
Okay.
but it might be familiar to you.
Hmm. Okay. I'll give it a good look. Um, and what am I seeing in detail here?
This is all happening inside your head. So it's a brief flash of something. And then when you step away from the page, there's a map there with an X marking the spot.
Okay.
And so you'll have to decide what it was the map showed you.
I would think that it's maybe going to show me the location of the object I'm looking for to try and find the crystals that I'm hunting down. And I would think in my mind that maybe this like mansion or whatever is maybe tied to the person that built this place. Um, and is this map something I can take with me?
You can certainly try.
um, I will. Let's see here. Pull open my spell book that's hanging off to my waist with a chain and open it up and then try and scribe the map that I see into my own spell book.
Okay. You are more than welcome to do so. It will take you about an hour's time, and when you're finished, you realize that spirit is now flitting in the doorway behind you, just observing.
I would turn and maybe be like, "Oh, uh, good to see ya," and then continue scribing. Um, Maybe pull out one of his cigars and light it and begin puffing on it as he does the scribing.
Nice. Once you're finished and you turn around one more time, you realize that the spirit has moved to be right up beside you. Still not touching, but quite fascinated with what you're doing.
Okay, little spooky, but he's been a spirit himself at one point, so he just lets her observe.
Okay. Does he attempt any communication, or does he just sort of let her do her thing?
I he's gonna maybe just like look at her and look back at the book and be like, anything you want to tell me? Anything? Did I get this curve right?
Considering that comment and invitation, she reaches out and grabs your arm. And although that is a touch as chill as freezing ice, suddenly you can hear her voice crystal clear in your head. And she is warning you, do not take the map.
Okay. Is copying it gonna hurt me too?
I do not know, adventurer, but whatever you do, do not take this arcane artifact. Everything here is cursed. Do not touch it.
I think instinctively he would maybe like bend back a little bit, take a tiny little step back to make sure that it's not super close, and heed the spirit's words. Um, Maybe an insight check.
Yes, please. Okay. I'm having trouble seeing our chat. What did you get for your insight?
Oh, 10 plus 3, so
Okay,
13.
13. Nice. Okay. And she's being very open with you so that you can see in her body language and her voice that whatever she's saying, she truly believes it herself. Whether that's entirely accurate or not, you can't be sure, but she believes she's speaking the truth.
Okay. He'd be inclined to take her word for it then. And very, very cautiously, really, not touch anything and make sure he doesn't remove anything from here. Already been cursed once, so.
Yes. Seeing that you seem convinced, she will start to back off, but she will warn you that this place is deadly and her father's fury still permeates here. You should leave quickly.
I would take another puff of my cigar and pull it out of my mouth and be like, eh, I would love to heed those words as well, but unfortunately, what I seek in here is going to lead me further.
And with one last touch, she'll simply say, I have warned you, adventurer. Perhaps our third twin will protect you, but the curses here may just find you first. And with that, she steps back and vanishes.
All right. I'll take a look around just visually without touching anything. Maybe make a investigation check to see if there's anything of note that his eyes would be drawn to, but otherwise he's going to continue cautiously and maybe even with stealth at this point after being warned.
Absolutely. Um, Go ahead and roll both investigation and a stealth.
Okay. Ooh. Investigation was an 18 plus 1, so 19. And then stealth is a 11 plus 5 for 16. So
Okay,
19 and 16.
nice. And as you're sneaking about, you're realizing that areas of both the library and possibly various passageways have been booby trapped. Luckily, you didn't encounter any of these traps on the way here, perhaps due to the guidance of the spirit, but certainly they would have been quite unpleasant had you run into them. But they're quite old and degraded, perhaps leftovers from when the warlord and his various henchmen were here many, many years before. And as you're sneaking around, you get the sense that you are entirely alone now. Even the griffin doesn't seem to be here any longer. Did you take your hand drawn map out of the library?
Yeah, I would have rolled it up or it was in my spell book, so I would have just my spell my grimoire goes with me everywhere, so I would have closed that up and had it hanging on my hip as I begin to leave.
Okay. As you're wandering the halls, You started to hear the sound of rushing water, and you're realizing that those pools of swampy water, they're starting to rise and become more numerous. In fact, there's an undertow at your feet, as if the waters itself are starting to drive you out.
Okay. I am a Dohwar who does happen to have a swim speed. I think I need air still, but it sounds like it's maybe gonna make my swimming difficult with an undertow, with a current pulling me, kind of pushing me out of here. I will attempt to continue.
The waters are becoming very, very high and are rising up through the passage. If you wish, you can roll to swim against the strength of the current, but it is trying to drive you out and will do what it can to not only push you out, but to bash you against the walls. It's
Okay.
almost as if the water itself has a mind of its own.
What would you like for that, like a strength save or check?
Strength check, please.
Okay. An 8 plus 4, so 12.
Okay. Sadly, no. Although you won't be bashed against the walls, your swimming will protect you and help you be dexterous enough that you can navigate that undertow a little bit. You're not going to be able to make it upstream against these very powerful currents. They're trying really hard to push you back out of the fortress.
I think he'll try for a few more moments and then maybe return to where, like, it's trying to push him back into the library or just out of here.
It wants you back out, completely out of the
Completely out.
strongholds, if it can
Okay.
get you that far.
I would like to attempt to make it back to the library then.
Okay. To ride the currents, let's do dexterity.
Okay. 14 plus 2, 16.
Okay. You do make it to the library safely, and sensing that the map is back where it belongs, the currents are no longer dragging and pulling at you, but the water continues to rise. There's a very good chance that the stronghold will be underwater in maybe no more than 30 minutes to an hour. If there's anything else you need from the library, now's the time to grab it. But there's a very good chance the currents are going to fight you every step of the way if you try to remove anything else.
Okay. Hmm. Don't really want anything from here. I'm gonna like frantically look at this map real good and try and memorize it as best as I can. Um, I don't know if you want like an intelligence check or something for that. To just really, really read it over and then maybe even rip the page out of my book and put it and leave it here.
Okay. No, I won't make you roll for that.
Okay.
You are a smart character. You could handle that. All right. Well, if you do leave it here in the library, the currents won't pull at you, but whatever spell has been activated, it's not going to be able to undo itself until its full course has been covered. So those waters are still going,
So
but you can leave safely.
okay. Yeah, I'll dive in beak first and try and swim in the less hostile waters to go further.
Absolutely. And nothing reaches out to grab at you or snag at you. But underwater, you occasionally get the sense you're hearing a wailing sound. It seems to be coming from all around you, as if the walls themselves are crying out. You get the sense it's part of the magic. And as soon as you pass through that final archway, taking a breath of fresh air, the sound stops.
Okay. Hmm. The Wailing Caverns, filled with whoever's crying's tears, maybe. Uh,
We all
I
mourn it in
will.
our own way.
Yeah, yeah. I'll pop out. I'll surface. I'll shake off my feathers, sending little spatters of water everywhere, and then find some dry land.
Absolutely. And from here, you're welcome to use your memorized map to head off on your next adventure, or if you're feeling adventurous and brave, wait for those waters to abate and dive back in and see if there's anything left in there to survive the waters. You never know.
Hmm. Okay. Um, I'd maybe take a moment to dry off. Use and it'd probably be wet. Is there anything I could build a fire with in here?
It is swampland, so you're not going to find a ton of trees. But if you look around, you'll find some brushwood to work with. It'll just be a lot damper than usual.
Okay, you know what? I could like I would have maybe a tinderbox and prestidigitation to maybe like use the little puffs of wind to try and um, dry it up a little bit, and then just like a firebolt real quick to light it up.
Absolutely. And you can definitely use that to help dry yourself off if you need to. Even take
Okay,
a rest if you'd like.
maybe just a little short rest after getting wet and everything that he's experienced here. He might take just a quick little short rest to analyze the area, sit by the fire, start munching on some maybe slightly soggy rations at this point, um, and hang out here for just a moment to dry off and consider his next actions.
Absolutely. And if he takes some time to think through his knowledge of lore, he may just discover what he just encountered, which artifact specifically. And it is, in fact, this one. I can get my. I was silly. I didn't add it in there. I knew I was
Oh
forgetting
no!
something. See, the tech gods strike sometimes in different ways, and this week it was that. That's okay. It's a small deal. I'll show you later.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well, you encountered an 38th Winds map, which is a wondrous item and very rare given that it's one of a kind. And it was a worn piece of vellum fixed to a segment of treated hide. And it does fold up to fit within a traveling map maker's case. And the map, along with anything inscribed upon the vellum, cannot be damaged by fire or immersion in water. So perhaps it's still there somewhere and survivable. And the map was created by a legendary adventurer who used their arcane skills to create a unique divination ritual to aid dungeon delvers in locating rare objects. By placing your hands on the vellum surface, you can call upon the map's magical properties to visualize the location of a particular creature or object that is on the same plane as you, as if casting the scrying spell. The location of your target will manifest as a map, which will remain for 24 hours or until the ritual is cast again. Once you have used this feature, you cannot do so again until the next dawn.
Okay. Definitely interested in it then. Yeah. But Ghost Lady said it was cursed.
All the best things are.
Yeah. So gathering his wits and thinking about it all and whatnot, he's gonna do a final observation of his area, like where he's at right now, and then wait for that water to recede.
Okay. It does take the rest of the evening, but the next morning, you find that those floodwaters have completely abated, and you're even able to enter the fortress safely. You find zero resistance, no specters, no griffins. In fact, the traps don't seem to be functioning. You enter the library, and although there's quite a bit of damp, this map is untouched and pristine.
I would ask, how heavy does this look?
I would say lighter than a spell book.
Okay, so that's probably handleable. Mage handable. um,
Yes.
and he, even though the spirit's not here, to be like, "Hey, I'm not touching it," and summon a mage hand cantrip to pick it up and bring
Okay.
it along.
And as far as you can tell, that does work. The mage hand picks it up successfully, perhaps even snags that carrying case as you go, and you're able to walk out of the fortress perfectly safely. Nothing tries to stop you.
Even with that being said, I would have been stealthing through there after what was said. I make it out a little woof moment. Thankful to be out of there, and even though he's a Dohwar, he doesn't love being wet, which is why he immediately was like, "I got to get dry." Before, and I look upon the place I was just adventuring and look at the little floating map case thing that I've got next to me, and give it a good old Arcana check to just see what I'm feeling from it. Confirm that it is what I think it is.
And it is, in fact, that rumored artifact. Given that it is a new dawn, you can even test it out by placing your hand there once more. And if you're seeking that same object as before, you will see that same flash of imagery, confirming that it is indeed that legendary map that helps you find lost things.
Okay. Yeah, I'll wave my hand over it and then touch it and pour my brain into it with what I'm looking for, thinking about his lost partner in life and hoping deeply that he'll be able to find them still alive, whether in their previous body or another, like he is, and also think about that poor griffin as to where they are if they're soaking wet like he was.
One never knows with griffins. But you do see that flash once again, that bit of imagery, a clue of perhaps where you can go to search next for your long last love, whether it is in their current form or something else. You can't be sure, but the map is telling you where to start on your journey.
Okay. Yeah, I think he just feels like a pull at his heart, at his chest, that a little bit of relief mixed with a whole lot of other emotions to know that he's one step closer to finding Callista. He managed to get this very useful item relatively uh, unharmed and unscathed, other than getting wet and soggy and almost washed out of there. And thinks about one of his friends who was quite the tracker in their days, and comments to himself in his head like, "This is better than you are, Manzer."
I love that. Nice. Well, hopefully this will help send Criven off on the next bit of his journey and he can help find that lost love and they'll be reunited quite soon. Cause
He's waited a few lifetimes carousing the cosmos. Any step closer he'll take, but he can wait if he
yeah,
needs to.
yes. Wonderful. Well, thank you for your story tonight. I really loved this one.
I enjoyed re reprising this role, so to speak, and exploring this story further with a character that I've brought into a few different campaigns at this point. Um, Adventuring the Sword Coast, adventuring through I can't remember what setting it is, what they call Drakenheim, the Dungeons of Drakenheim. I mean, maybe it's just Drakenheim,
So
um, and really enjoyed that. Thank you.
awesome. Wonderful. Well, as we wrap up tonight, is there anything you would like to share, maybe about Wild Shape Society or any cool things we can keep an eye out for that might be coming up in the future?
Yeah, of course. We have a lot of maps on the Roll20 marketplace. More get posted every week or so, building up that library of battle maps, long rest camps for your role play encounters. Currently working on a one shot called Goblins of Glombo Mountain, which is
Nice.
a kind of like a Star Wars pod racer one shot ordeal, where a bunch of tinkering goblins are making these cool arcane machines to race in like a event. And then we still got a long road to go down with the adventure setting and adventure module for 5e. That's been a journey to create, hoping to create an entire new world for adventurers to enjoy. So that people can step away from, not that the Sword Coast isn't a great place, and Emerald and all that is always a good place, but um, our goal is to make an entire new world full of life and adventure to be had with my adventure setting. Uh, that's maybe a year or so out. That will be eventually on Kickstarter and all that good stuff, and eventually onto Roll20 as well. That'll be probably one of our primary platforms to be releasing it on, with just tons of handmade maps for every encounter. Um, you know, restaurants with full menus, just really high detail. Dialogue pre-written out for dungeon masters, if so that they don't have, if like maybe role play is not their forte. You have lines ready for you, or you can do whatever you want. That's the beauty of D&D. Use what you're given or do your own thing, and we fully embrace that and hope to have it in your hands or on your computer very soon, as soon as possible.
Awesome. Well, that's really exciting. I admit to being very guilty to being partial to the Sword Coast, but I always love exploring new worlds too. So that's exciting that we might get a new world soon. So I'll keep an eye out for that one for sure. Thank you for sharing that with us. So, yes. Um, so next week we'll get to have a whole new guest coming into the library. So I'm very excited for that. But for now, I hope everyone has a lovely evening. And thank you once again for coming over and join us and sharing your lovely character with us tonight.
And thank you for providing this experience and writing that story. It was a fun little dungeon dive, pun intended.
Thank you. I don't get to do dungeons very often.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, I hope everyone has a lovely night. Bye.
I and thank you for providing this experience and writing that story. It was a fun little
All right,
dungeon
you
dive,
guys.
pun intended.
So I think there are a couple of tech bloopers in there, but overall, I think that went pretty good for our first test of pre-recording and then playback later. So, thank you for being an amazing audience hanging out with me in the chat while I shared with you our very fun session with Wild Shape Society. That was a really cool story that we got to do. And since I did have a blooper and didn't include it in my handouts, here is our very cool map that we went on an adventure to explore and try to find for Criven. And it does do some pretty cool things, so it's worth a share there, even at the very last possible second. I swear hand on all of the most amazing dice gods that I will do better next time to make sure all of my little handouts are in a row. I try. So, yes. Good. Okay. At the very beginning, I noticed there was some weirdo delays there, and I was like, I don't know, can it handle a video this long? So, and then I kind of like worked it out, so I'm glad that like we were okay. Yay! Thank you for that, letting me know it actually worked out. I was like, I was worried, but we're okay. Good. So this tells me that for any other friends that maybe can't join us on a Saturday night, this is a good solution for us. So good. Yay. It makes me very happy. All right. Well, that's all I have left. But for those of you who do use Roll20 or just any virtual tabletops, I do hope that you'll keep an eye on all of those awesome maps that are coming out with and the new setting because that looks really cool. They've got some cool stuff coming out in the future. Plus, we're welcoming back Infernal Schoolhouse next week. It's official. Both of our friends from Infernal Schoolhouse are coming, so we get to have two guests next week. I'm very excited. It'll be chaos, but it'll be fun. Fun chaos. Is there any other kind? I'm a little nervous, but it'll be fun. It'll be good. Yes. And now that we know that the stream is worked out all of its kinks, right? tech gods, you're not going to curse me anymore, then that will be perfect timing for us. So, yes, indeedy. For those of you that celebrate, I hope you have an amazing Easter weekend. For those of you who are stuck on the West Coast with me, be safe out in the rainstorm. It was really crazy this morning, but it looks like the worst of it might be over with. We'll see. But until next week, have a most amazing weekend. Bye, everyone.